What is it like being a Jamaican in Germany? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com. Today in Jamaicans to the World, welcome Steffani 7 and Kirk Henry, Jamaicans who are living in Germany. Welcome, guys. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Well.
So I'm going to start out with this question, Steffani.
Yeah.
Where in Jamaica are you from?
I'm from Portmore, St. Catherine. Portmore for sure. You haven't heard that yet? Yeah?
So guess what?
Yeah.
I'm from Portmore.
What?
And guess what? I'm from Portmore.
What? Are you kidding me?
I kid you not.
What part of Portmore?
So I'm from Edgewater. Later, I moved to Independent City.
Wow. I'm from Brayton, Phase 1. Exact address, 85 Dolphin Avenue, Brayton, St. Catherine.
So Kirk, you want to tell her where you're from in Portmore?
Government.
So we have Portmore representing.
Wow, that's cool.
Kirk, which school are you representing?
Well, JC, the college. So I went to Bridgeport Primary to do exam, the common entrance exam, and then went to Jamaica College, basically because my big Xavier was there too.
Well, we both know Bridgeport. So folks, let me just add this in there. Kirk is my cousin, and so you may see that dynamic as we walk through this story today. Let me ask you all these questions, starting with Steffani. How did you end up in Germany? Tell us your story of how you ended up in Germany.
Okay, so it started in my mind. Everything starts in your mind, right? In 2010, the Disney scouting team for the Lion King musical, they came to do auditions in Jamaica. But years before that, over 10 years before that, I thought, oh, they would come back to Jamaica. I would love to do that. And once in a while, I mean, separate and apart of that, I would like watch reggae shows happening in Europe. And once I saw, I forgot what the name of the reggae show was. And I thought, oh, I would love to go to Germany. Just a thought, but then I just left it alone. So when I did the audition, which I almost missed the audition because I didn't know about it. But by the way, a friend told me about it, Roberta Daly. I won't forget her. And another friend who helped me with the whole process, Benton Morris. Thank you. If you ever get to hear this, I really appreciate you. So I did the audition in 2010, and I was successful. I was 3 out of hundreds who were there on the last level of the audition, and they said, "Oh, you did great, and we would love to have you. And this could happen, in a month's time, maybe 3 months, 7 months, even up to a year." So I thought, "Oh, wow." Well, but I never heard from them, and then after a year passed, I just forgot about the whole thing. Now, 3 years after, out of the blue, like I get this call. I almost didn't even get the call. I have to tell you, I have to give you another episode of this. But the phone that I had lost it. So my ex-husband now, my husband at the time, his number was the second number, and his phone wasn't working either. So it was this day they called. He was about to take the battery out. He kept switching batteries to, I don't know, he had some technique to make his phone work. So he's about to take the battery out. It doesn't ring, but a light comes up on the phone. That never happens before. And he's like, "Huh?" Then anyway, he sees it's a call, he answers, and it was for me. And they were like, "Hey, Steffani, we'd love to have you here in Germany to be a part of our Lion King musical. And yeah, we've been trying to contact you." And is this email address the correct one? And when she read it to me, Sonia is her name, it was incorrect. Somehow they had a wrong letter also, which I don't know how.
So
Jamaica.
everything that was to go wrong went practically wrong, and then but they got you on the phone.
On the half dead phone. But that makes me remember that, in Jamaica we say, where for you, I for you, nothing can stop it. I just
Wow.
And 2 months after that, 2.5 months after that, I was in Germany.
Nice. So how long have you been there?
Well, this is my 8th year. And originally it was supposed to be 15 months, but I'm here.
Kirk, we come to you. Tell us the story of how you got to Germany.
Well, I had been coming here a lot as a tourist. I had friends here, and I had always had the intention of doing some kind of business, and Germany presented an opportunity in that it was inexpensive, and it was also there was a development going on in the city of Berlin, which is where I live, and there was a real movement to develop the city and to add businesses, and especially something like what I was planning, which was a Jamaican spot. Right now it's Rosa Calita, the restaurant that I opened here when 2009. And so, yeah, I mean, I came here basically to do some business, but the timing of it was at that point, 2009. I was like, it's just, Berlin was really ready for something new and different. And yeah, I came here, and my friend Troy, who I'd known for years, we became business partners, opened up this restaurant.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Yeah. You both are doing some amazing things there. I know, Kirk, you have had the restaurant. How many years you have had the restaurant there?
12 years. 12
Wow.
years.
Wow. And we're going to dive into that a little bit, because I want to hear thoughts on food. But I know, Steffani, you are doing some amazing things also. Not only were you in The Lion King, but you're an author, and you're about to publish a book. I think I know I'm putting you on the spot. You give me a sneak preview, but let the people them see the book. Let the people them see the book that you're working on.
I'm so proud of it. You know what? I promised myself for years that I would write little storybooks for my children, because I'm always telling them stories when I'm putting them to bed, or they just love my stories. But I would keep telling them, you should paint little pictures of the stories mommy tell you, and you should write them, But last year, was it? Just before the pandemic started, I decided I didn't want to be in musical theater for so long. I did it already for like 7 years. I mean, on and off, but it's very time consuming. It takes a lot of energy. I would work 6 days a week, and on the weekend, double shows on Saturday, double shows on Sunday. You get a day off on a Monday, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that was the whole cycle. And I just began to think I need to put more energy in myself. I need to invest in myself. And as an artist, which I'm not only a performing artist, but I also trained as a visual artist after high school. I went to the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts. Big up on yourself, Edna Manley people. And that's where I majored in goldsmithing, jewelry.
Okay.
And of course, every person has to do a preliminary year of experimenting with the different aspects of art, like painting or graphics and textiles and ceramics. So I decided jewelry designing.
And I can say, and the artwork behind you, that's yours.
Yes, actually, it's a part of this project I have started. And the name of the project is Keep On Moving. That's the name of the
book.
The book. So it's a combination of all the aspects of arts that I'm good at. I'm good at visual arts. I'm good at performing arts. So
Good.
I'm joining everything. My dance. I also trained. I went back to the Enemani College again after I left to train as in dance theater and production. So it's the whole thing. I did acting and music and art. I just really love that school. That's like a place that I go and just sit under that big shady tree and just sit, and I'd be fine.
So Kirk, you all took a risk there in terms of, you know, and well, Steffani, I know we're going to be hearing more about the book. I mean, we've talked about, you know, when the launch and so on. So folks, watch out for this because it's coming. Kirk.
So it's not just the book, it's the whole combination. So I'm getting my videos of my songs. I write songs and I produce my own songs. So it's my songs, my books, my
and folks,
everything.
Let me tell you, he has a beautiful voice. A few minutes ago, one of my daughters was celebrating birthday, and she sang her happy birthday. So beautiful voice.
Thank you.
So Kirk, I want to jump over to you and talk a little bit about that risk you all took, you know, opening a Jamaican fusion restaurant there in Berlin. I mean, what was it like? What were, you know, in a synopsis, you know, some of the hoops you probably had to jump through as a foreigner, expat coming there to Germany, and then, you know, were you worried that, hey, this food is a little spicy or the food is a little different? Are people going to enjoy the food? I know I said a lot there, but give us a little synopsis of it.
Really, opening the restaurant itself wasn't as hard as I had imagined or even been told. And you know, people told me then that, you know, dealing with the authorities here, everything is very strict, first of all. And you have to comply with, you know, certain, just in terms of, if there's one, given an example, the place I found, the space I found, the doorway was literally 1 centimeter short of the required regulation to have a wheelchair. And basically, it was a big problem. And I thought 1 centimeter, but it was a big problem. However, the lady at the office was really super kind, which was unexpected. We were known that German.
Did you give her some jerk chicken? You hook her up?
So, oh, actually, she just took a liking to me or my situation, which was that, you know, just for this one thing, it could jeopardize opening the place and giving me the license to open. And she said to me, actually, she didn't say it, she wrote it on a paper and she said, this is what you need to do. And actually, this was in my very bad German. And basically, I had to make it work. And I made it work. It was actually amazing how it all came together because it was a challenge. And my friends told me, well, actually, it just speaks to you and how you manage things, because basically it could have been like impossible.
Yeah, I know this in Germany. They're very like strict. There is no leeway. You know, Jamaica can go back door and you know, and we're more flexible. None of that happening here.
There is the term, and I'm not trying to be stereotypical. Forgive me, my German friends, but there is the German machine. and I think I mentioned this when we were discussing before we started the recording that, you know, my first experience with Germany, I almost got deported, and because again, you know, I didn't realize I had a 1 entry visa on my Jamaican passport. But that's another story for itself. It all worked out. I did get to stay, and it's all fun and good. So,
you know what? I didn't get to tell you my first experience coming to Germany. So, you know, it's a long flight. I get to the Dusseldorf airport. So now the flight was late, and I was supposed to connect from Dusseldorf to Hamburg. So everybody now has to get a new ticket. So I had my pulley and a little bag on top, and then it couldn't fit into the space where I had to get a ticket. So I left it to the corner, and I just could remember my mom saying, don't leave your bag, you know. and don't keep all your money in one place.
Right?
I kid you not. Many people might not believe this story. I mean, I think even in Jamaica, this would never happen. So my bag is there, not even far from me. And I was on a slant because, you know, and they're looking, writing, waiting. So by the time the next time I go, so, I want to hear some footsteps. And then police start chase this guy. This was happening so fast. Right. I was just... I just started to cry. I'm telling you. They were going with my bag. I had money in it, right? But what was most precious to me in that bag was I had a little iPod where I would listen to music, but I had all the photos of my children in it. And that was all I had of them with me. And I was like, no, my kids. I didn't care about anything else. And guess what? I'm now asking them if the police inside could help me. And they're like, oh, sorry, this is another German thing. Sorry, you have to go to the police station outside. I'm like, but there's police here. Aren't you? And I'm like, but didn't you see who took it? And they're like, oh, we're not allowed to use a camera to prove anything at the moment. And I'm like,
so why have cameras?
But anyway, they use it when they need to. But I had to go out. The police station wasn't far away, and there was this lovely German couple, and they were so sorry for me. They were like, here's some food. And they gave me 20 euros, and I was just crying because I just wanted my mommy and my daddy. I'm like, what a welcome to Germany.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
But
So
they found my bag, and I got back my iPod, and I still have my kids' pictures, and they were smaller.
So this kind of leads me to one of the questions I have on here, and you kind of talked a little bit about it, Steffani. And Kirk, if you can jump in here, you know, what are the people like? What are the Germans you have encountered like? And you've been there 12 years, and Steffani, I'll come to you after. You know, you've been there 8 years. What have the Germans been like?
People are. Well, I live in Berlin, first of all, and it's quite an exception in terms of German culture because it's very open and open-minded, very easy to arrive here and start living. Back in those days, the language was a bit of a problem because there were less people speaking English. And of course, I started a German class, but it's a difficult language, so it was a little hard. Even though I spoke all these other languages, it still was a little hard to get to a level of proficiency with German. So in the meantime, people were open in this city and made efforts, you know, with language and everything. Which at the time I went to college, I actually did grad school in France. It didn't happen like that. If I didn't speak French, my dog would have never supper. But this Germany, I had more fortune, you know, with being able to communicate at least. And the thing.
But are the people here's where I'm going. You know, in terms of temperament and you know, and again, I don't want I don't want to be stereotypical, but you know, are the people warm? Are the people, you know, Jamaican people, you know how we are. We make friends really quickly if we like you, if we spirit take you. That's
it. It's completely different here.
If we spirit take you, you know, hey, yeah, come, yeah, we're good, right? But you know, I know for some people, and again, I don't want to stereotype. I heard, you know, from a few folks I've spoken to who are in Europe, they typically say, you know, it takes a while. And for them to warm up, and then when they do this, you know you're in. So they'll say, you know, they take you this place and you know you're in, or they say this and then you know you're in. So, you know, yeah, you know, is what are they? Is they're warmed? It takes a little while. What is it? You know, talk to me about that.
Well, in terms of temperament, well, what I want to say is that, you know, like in all of Northern Europe, in all of these countries, it does take a while. It's not that even when you go to Italy, it's a different reception to you know, foreigners and to people who come in. Even if you're coming from Munich, it's a different reception. You know, but at the same time, you're right. people warm up. However, the thing about the Germans that I didn't talk about is that the reputation of being very straightforward, very direct, and actually almost with blinders on. They have a plan. They're very good planners, and this is it. The plan is the plan. If you deviate from the plan, or if anything else causes the plan to go awry, dog me suffer.
Steffani, what you have to say about the people and your encounter there?
I've had many positive encounters. You see, because I believe that the energy you put forward, you will get it back, and it might not be all the time, but yeah, people warm up. So if it's someone you have to work with, like a colleague or so, maybe at the first encounter they may be a bit closed off, but with our Jamaican spirit, you just keep going and you're happy. We have a whole heap of sunshine and you're bubbly. They want that too. And sometimes they're just a bit shy. But if you look on it on the outside, it look cool for true.
So let me ask you this. So I'm going to go down a route here, kind of a little off the script, but I've been doing this lately. And I'm asking you, Steffani, this one, because you're a woman, a Jamaican woman. Yeah. You're in entertainment space there, so people are seeing you. You're upfront, you know. Have you been awkwardly, or has any of these men tried to pick you up?
Well, yes, but they're not like Jamaicans. The Germans here are not so blatant like the Jamaican men. The Jamaican men with the yo sexy girl, I love how you shape, you know, I want to do this and that with you. No, they're more cautious. They want to do nice things for you. They will invite you to do something that has to do with work, and then when you realize it, oh, this person just isn't kind of interested, so they won't come straightforward. I've never had that experience. It's, you know, it's a bit calmer on that side. Yeah.
All right. So, ladies, some advice there. You know, it's not going to be direct. It's not going to be, boy, I love you like cook food.
And you know what? I think a lot of people, either from Jamaica or the Caribbean, I have other friends who are from the Caribbean, you know, or people from other cultures who are used to this very peppery kind of exchange. You probably will miss that, because you probably think nobody interested in you. If you want somebody to be interested in you, I hear a lot of girlfriends say, nobody here. And it's not that they're not attractive. It's just that the German men just don't, from my experience, which I don't think I have a lot of experience with that. I have most of my life here has been in the theater, like years.
Right. Well, I just figure, you know, you're kind of out front, so you know, you may have, you know, people tend to see that person on the stage and you know, and so on. So, but you also mentioned something, and Kirk, I'll come to you in a minute. But you also had mentioned earlier kids, in terms of the incident at the airport and your kids and so on. So, are your kids there with you in Germany?
Yes.
And how are they adjusting?
They haven't. In the third month of them being here, they were speaking German. And it's still taking me a longer time to get the language fluently. So they speak better German than I do. They're helping me, they're teaching me. They love it here. They do love German. I make sure every year they still go home. You know, they get that groundedness to also see their father and to see other family members, and, you know, still connect to our roots. That's so important.
Right.
On the other hand, they have experienced situations in school and on the street where people have made racist comments. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens. But, you know, say, this Jamaican mother, as calm as I am and as loving as I am, the dragon come out.
Oh, yes.
I had to go to the school, and I demanded that this stops, and then they had to create a project around it and teach children how not to say this, because I was insistent. I wasn't gonna be paying money to send my kids to school in this international school, and then they don't want to go to school because they're scared of what the children, teasing them about their hair, and they were younger at that time. You know, now they're very confident about the color of their skin, their hair texture, and really put energy into them to accept themselves, and they have to actually see me as a mother do that, and they're now more sturdy in themselves. So
Good, good.
Yeah.
Kirk, you have had any experience in terms of, racism and so on?
I mean, you have prejudice everywhere.
Right.
Things like in Berlin, like I said before, people are more accepting of the other, and what you will find is that, of course, there's a stereotype, and the first encounter or the immediate view is one thing, but once there's some sort of exchange, conversation, once they take the time to look at how you're dressed and who you are, then things might change anyway. And Berlin has a live and let live culture in this city that doesn't even exist in the rest of Germany, and actually in fewer places in the world, as a matter of fact. So hard to live, but you do encounter that thing, even whether it's whatever kind of prejudice, racism, or whatever it is. But at the same time, the acceptance quotient is actually quite great. Yeah,
I see.
I have to agree. When I visit Berlin, I love to visit Berlin. I would never live there because it's a bit fast for me. I like that Hamburg is very quiet, and I need that. I love the serenity that Hamburg gives, and the nature and the water and the forest. I love that. In Berlin, when I need that buzz, it's kind of like a drink of espresso. And then you're good again. I have a friend living in Berlin, so it's nice to visit there.
Visit sometimes. Good.
Yeah. Kalita, you never. I mean,
I never heard of it. And you know what? Every time I went, like the first times I was in Berlin, I was like, I need a Jamaican restaurant. I found one, but it wasn't yours. I have nothing else to say.
You have to visit.
I'm coming to your restaurant.
I visited Rosa Calita, and so I know I'm talking from a biased position, but yeah, the food and that thing will go good. Yeah, everything will sell out.
I'm coming. I miss Jamaican food, and of course, when I miss it, there's a street called Steindam in the Hop area. It's not the street that a lot of posh people would want to go, but I love it. It really grounds me. When you go, you'll see fruits and vegetables lying out on the trays, and I have my little pull bag, and I buy yam. They have yam.
Oh, yam.
Not yellow
type
yam.
of yam?
White yam.
Probably white yam.
Yes, but it's delicious. I buy okras all the time, almost every week. Plantains.
Good.
Yes, mangoes. You get better mangoes there than in the supermarket. If you buy a mango in the supermarket, you just want to cry. Because it looks red and pretty, and every time I try to even smell it, no smell. No. But I can get some foods that remind me of home, and that's what I do to keep that balance of missing home,
Kirk, let me ask you this. Well, go ahead, because I was going to ask you, you run a restaurant, so you're always looking for Jamaican food. You have to, the ingredients and all of that stuff. How you manage in Berlin?
Well, twofold. I do find some things. You have your sources, a lot of Asian shops, and you have African shops like run by African folks for that community, and there's a crossover. But I also import some stuff. I import from the UK. I import from Jamaica, because in order to get pimento, for example, Jamaican pimento, where are you going to get it? Nowhere around here. They have some pimento, but the flavors are very different to what we know. Something like better pack curry, that has to come from England or Jamaica, and we have to use that to make a good curry goat or a good curry chicken Jamaica style. So there's importation. It's a combination of things, and really find the right sources. Holland, for example, peppers, because we have our fire sauce, the homemade sauce that we have in the restaurant, is very popular. you have to bring the pepper from Holland, like fresh. So we're not necessarily getting Scotch bonnet, but you get, Madame Chenet, you get different strains of pepper or that have flavor and the heat factor. And so you have to import, you have to combine the whole thing. Even like ackee, which we use, that's an importation setup,
Well, my mouth watering just hearing that you know all of the stuff you have there. I'm gonna stay on food for a minute here.
Yeah.
We talk about Jamaican food, but let's talk a little bit about German food. Is there something that you enjoy? And if you said, Xavier, you're coming back. I've been there a couple times, but you're coming to Germany, or one of our viewers coming to Germany. Try this German food. What would it be? And I'm going to start with you, Steffani.
Let me start out like that. To be honest, I don't even know how to categorize German food. I've never been into a German restaurant, and most of the people here don't even recommend it. Now, the closest thing to a German dish I had, which this is a funny story, right? There's something called sauerkraut. That's like a fermented cabbage. When I was pregnant with my last child, I just had this. I had tasted sauerkraut before, but I never really liked it. But I just had this craving. I just needed sauerkraut and some salt pork. Just this taste I had in my mouth, and I just wanted to have it.
So stick a pin. So stick a pin there. Is this last child born in Germany?
Yes.
But that's why I had the taste.
Maybe. His grandmother is German. So coming to her now.
So continue. I'm so sorry. I interrupted.
No. It's okay. So I asked my husband, he asked his mom, like, Steffani's feeling for this. And she's like, what? How does she even know about this? Has she ever had it before? No, I had no experience having it, but I just had to have it, and she had to explain where he could go and get the kassler and how to prepare it. And 3 days straight, I had that sauerkraut and kassler. It was so good.
So
strange. Must be the baby.
Sauerkraut and kassler.
No, sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut.
We just kept
Kraut.
So Kirk, what would you recommend or say would be something German food?
Two things. I'm a Trenton man, so guess what? I came to Germany, which is the land of pork, and they have a thing.
Okay, I'm glad you explained that, because some people don't know what Trenton is. Trenton is pork.
I mean, Germany really is the land of pork. I mean, in Berlin, you have a lot of vegan, vegetarian, non-meat eaters, but as a culture, pork is a very big ingredient here. And they have a thing called Schweinehaxe. It's pork knuckle, basically. And one of the things coming here, as a Jamaican, you're so accustomed to, and I love my food well seasoned. And it doesn't have to be crazy spicy, as in spicy hot, but I want seasoning, and out of package with just salt is not cutting it. However, they have a technique with this Schweinehaxe. I mean, there's certain things that they do that technique-wise, and I mean, as somebody in the food business, I've paid attention. I see what's happening, and they've mastered the culinary technique with this pork knuckle. I'm not sure how it's prepared, but it's a slow cook. And it's nice, and it's really one of my favorite dishes here. And when I go out here to any German place, instead of schnitzel, I look to that. And then, of course, Apfelstrudel. Apfelstrudel, which is, I'm not sure. I think we used to have that in Jamaica too, at Sugar and Spice and all these places. We used to have this Apfelstrudel, which is basically a apple cake with some cream on top. Yeah, those are my things that really, really, really are, a staple.
So here in Hamburg, they have many restaurants, but not necessarily German. You have the Turkish, you have the Ghanaian restaurant. I know of one really nice fish. Oh gosh, that's yummy. And Of course, the Chinese, the Asians, the Indians. So
No,
I love.
There's a diversity of
I
food.
was about to also include that later on, but since you mentioned it, we need a Jamaican restaurant in Hamburg.
Kirk's a call him. He'll work on it. He'll work on that. Kirk,
We need one. There used to be one years ago, I heard, but there's none. And I also thought, oh, maybe I need to start something, but I don't really want to do this kind of business really, but just to have, because I like to have friends around. So what I do for the moment, I will cook and have friends and we go outside in the garden and eat and stuff. But we need a restaurant. Kirk. That's
all right, Kirk. We need to forget pan the case, Kirk. We need to forget pan the case. So I'm going to ask about when people meet you and they hear that you are Jamaican. Give me an experience you have had, a reaction, when they hear that you are Jamaican. I'm going to start with you, Kirk. When folks, when they, we have all had that experience, maybe that one experience where it was, we'll always remember it when we told someone, abroad, we're Jamaican. What happened?
I don't know. I thought of this question. To be really honest, I've been abroad so long. I can't even think of one particular thing. Of course, you have the typical, the smokes and the beach and the thing, and I don't even smoke. So thing. But as a Jamaican, one of the things though that happens to me here is that you always try to do one last thing and end up being late. And in Germany, that is no. Always trying to squeeze in something. And if I've learned one thing, it's just leave out that one last thing you're trying to squeeze in and get there on time. Because even in Berlin, time is not so strict like in other places, but still, you just can't be just late. And in our business too, when a German books the restaurant, for example, they're booking out the place, or even just a regular reservation. The reservation is at 7 p.m. At 6:45, they're there, and you really have to get that down because especially when we're full and all that, it creates complications.
I see.
That's thing. It's a culture that you have to know living here.
Steffani, I'm going to let you answer that. But before you say that, when I came to Germany, my first time in Germany, I remember the experience of going to a restaurant there. And I sat in the restaurant, I ate, and I was waiting for the bill. And I'm just there waiting. And, typically, everywhere else, the bill, see you finish eat, the bill comes right away. And I was sitting there waiting for the bill. Nothing come. And I literally had to get up and tell them, okay, I'm ready to go. Maybe half an hour later. So I told, I was working for a consulting company. I told the German consultant. He said, listen, in the West, some cultures, Western culture, I think he was saying that you all will push 3 things in for the night: dinner, movie, dancing. And he said to me, here in Germany, what we do is the one thing you do is the event. Dinner is the evening's event. That's it. And he said, you don't need anything else. So they're not going to rush. It's an insult for them to rush me and out of the restaurant. And I found that very interesting. And it's something that I always, remember from visiting Germany. And it was Berlin. So you made a point of trying to squeeze as many things in. And I remember him saying, we Germans don't try and squeeze, we enjoy the moment. That's what he mentioned to me. So Steffani, you're saying, when people meet, and I'm sorry I went off on a story there, but when you meet,
it's nice to hear yours. You're back for a minute. Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
So when folks say that you are, learn that you are Jamaican, and again, you have been on the stage, you're out there, I'm sure you have gotten some interesting reactions.
Well, first of all, in my workspace, of course, you have to first introduce yourself. We always have by my second day in Germany, I was already at work. I slept the night when I got here Then the next day I was at work, we introduced ourselves. But as time went on, for the new colleagues that I met that weren't performing or weren't rehearsing, some of them actually thought I was from here with a German parent and an African parent from some African country. And yeah, to many I had to explain, no, I am Jamaican. And they were like, oh. And then they would see my hair and like, oh. And then they would go on to Bob Marley and marijuana and bad words that they have learned. They know it better than me.
So let me ask, I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in for a minute. Did anybody, try to touch your hair? You mentioned your hair. Did anyone try and touch your hair?
Actually, yes. But I didn't take offense to it, even though I know that's something they should not do. Because for me, your hair is so personal, But some here in Germany, there's a culture of over the years where coming back from slavery, the black man is looked upon as an object. So that was the experience I had where like, oh, nice. And then that's something that they wouldn't expect to happen. But not all the time I responded, because I try to not have conflict when I don't meet.
And I understand what you're saying because, you're trying to say, because, there's a few people I talk to and they'll say to me, they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, folks who have been exposed to certain things and know that this is not right will know that it's not right. But for someone who is curious, and it's more curious. You may be offended by the curiosity, but it's just curiosity versus them wanting to offend you. I don't know if I said it.
Yeah, I don't think they want to offend, but they're not aware that this is not allowed. And that's because even there is, we have a zoo here in Hamburg, and years ago, I think it's a Hagenbeck Zoo. I'm not sure if I have the name right, but they once had black people there in cages as a part of the exhibition. So imagine from that coming to now as a black person, they want to touch. And it's curiosity, because I remember when I was a little girl, and I first probably saw an Indian lady and I thought, wow, that's different. And I just wanted to touch it, So from that perspective, I don't fire back, as long as it's not done in an offensive way. And some actually ask me, they're really just curious. And this, they're like, can I please touch your hair? And I'm like, sure. If I feel like it's an energy that I want in my space,
Right.
For my children, my sons, they're a bit feisty, so on many occasions I'm with them and they're like, oh, Susakin, and they're like, they don't.
They give that look. And say, no, you're not going there. So I want to move on to another topic, which is the language, and we touched on this a little bit. In regards to the language itself, how difficult was it? When did it click for you? I mean, was there, year 2, year 3, I'm kind of there, or, I know Kirk, as I said, Kirk and I are cousins, so we go way back. He's a language man, and he was just mentioning this, it's so challenging. Kirk probably speaks about 8 languages. I don't know if I'm exaggerating, but he speaks quite a few languages. How many? 4.
Well,
4?
English, French, Spanish,
okay, can I just be the cousin that boasts and just always say 8? just between you and I and the viewers, he speaks 8 languages, right? Did you include Patois? You included Patois in the 4, right?
There's Patois and there's
okay, it's 5. It's 5. All right, officially 5. All right. But my question is, what year, did you kind of say, hey, I think I'm there? And I'm going to start with you, Kirk. What year did you say, you know what, I think I'm there. I think I'm comfortable in the language.
It's still happening, but I'm comfortable because one, business wise, you always have to. So anything to do with functionaries here, as in any government office, anything, you're only allowed to speak German. And if you don't speak German, bring a German with you or bring someone who speaks German with you. And in that sense, I had to learn real fast. I mean, that incident I spoke about earlier, the woman said, "Oh, for the tiles." And I mistook the word for flies because it's fliesen. German, the word for tile is fliesen. And I was like, flies and something about flies. And I really pulled up all of my language skills from anywhere and everywhere. And eventually, I made it work. But like I said, it takes time with German because even though there's similarities to English and even to French, the structure of the language and the grammar are so foreign to all the other languages I speak. And yeah, it's also about if you are immersed to the point where, like, let's say you're somewhere like Dresden or somewhere, where there aren't that many English speakers, the chance to learn faster, thing. I think it took me like 4 years to get it, even though I started German class the second week. So when I moved here, the second week living here, I was in a German course. But actually, I think after 4 years is when I think I was watching TV more and watching English shows with German subtitles or German shows with English subtitles. And that sort of thing really helps. It pushes you much further than trying to just pick something up out on the road.
All right, Steffani, when did you feel comfortable? 8 years there. When did you start say, well, I think I'm comfortable?
You know what? I am not yet comfortable, to be honest.
Okay.
It's not fluent. I understand mostly everything. But when I need to formulate my sentences, I know my grammar is not completely correct, but the people understand me. But I'd like to completely get it, like the ins and out, the grammar, everything. So since I also came here, I've been doing tons of German courses while I was working, and that drove me crazy. Like an intensive course for like months, plus that's 5 hours for the day, right? I come home, cook, wash, shop for my children. I'm gone to work for hours in the night, and the cycle just went on, and I just had to take a break, take a big break.
All right.
And like you said, Kirk, when you're in an environment where you're forced to speak it, it comes easier. Now in the theater, most of my colleagues are either from South Africa, who of course they speak in their own languages to each other, but when they communicate with me, it's in English. And my colleagues from London, it's English, and my Caribbean friends, it's English. So I had to actually force myself to ask the German colleagues, please don't speak to me in English. I figured it out after 3 years. I'm like, but I'm not progressing the way I want, because the thing is, the German colleagues want to learn English. And
I see.
You understand?
Yes. You have it going. You have it going a couple ways,
Yes. So most of my time was really speaking English. I didn't have time to go out meeting other people. So most of what I've learned is on my own. I'm still learning, aber es kommt gleich. And this, get in touch.
It's funny. What Kirk is saying and what you're saying, it's interesting because if you're forced to, you will have to. I remember that visit when I went. Again, working there 10 days, I'm around Germans. A lot of them didn't. One person spoke English. And literally, I remember when I was coming back, I'm at the airport. I had to make a stop in London. And when they handed me back my passport, I said, Danke. And I'm like, I was so used to saying Danke, which is thank you, while I was in Germany for that time, immersed in it. It just became natural. But I get it. Kirk is totally dealing with Germans. You're dealing with a mix of people. Mm-hmm. And so that presents its challenges within itself.
It's not an excuse. So right. Yes, I'm still pushing. Yes.
We'll give it to you. So, I know Germany is a big country. And you're on different parts of Germany. But if there was an experience or a place that you would say, if you visit, Germany or where you are, you must go and visit this, or you must go and experience this, what would that one thing be? And I'm going to start with you, Steffani. What would that one thing be that you would say you have to visit or experience? And experience could be there's a festival, that is just an amazing festival. Visit could be there's the architecture here, or the sunrise or the sunset over this lake, or I know for my kids, when we visited we wanted to see a German castle, and that's what we went and saw when we came to Berlin. So what would that experience be you'd recommend or place to visit?
I'm going to be a bit biased. I would have to say you have to visit the theater that I worked at, theater in Mahafen. And they host the Lion King musical dubbed Der König der Löwen. And to be honest, even though I've worked there and been on stage and sat in the audience, it is amazing. The costumes, the lights, the music, the dance, the dialogue, the live music. There's an orchestra there. You can see it blows my mind every time, and it's still blowing my mind.
All right.
What's lovely about it, that when you come to visit, you have to take a little boat for 3 minutes across the water. So that experience is just really nice. You get to see, that part of Hamburg. It just feels like a whole experience. The boat ride, and if you go on top when it's a sunny day, you just feel like, oh, what's this? What's going on? If you plan ahead of time, you're able to have a backstage view where you get to see the costumes and the props up close,
Nice.
and meet the performers.
Nice.
It's amazing, and sometimes even I think I've met the most talented people on the planet since I've been here. It's like, especially my South African colleagues, when they sing, oh my God.
Nice.
When
All
they
right.
sing, yeah, amazing.
Kirk, what would that be? What would that be?
Well, I thought about this, and you talk about castle, Xavier, when you visited. Actually, it's one of my favorite places in all of Germany to visit. Neuschwanstein. It's down in it's in Ulm, in the very south, close to the Austrian border. And actually, when I was actually living in Belgium years ago, we went there, and I was captivated. It is actually the castle that inspired Walt Disney's castle, the Cinderella Castle at Disney World. So it actually looks like that, but you can visit. But if you come to Berlin, I always recommend the boat tour. It's I don't do a lot of tourism because when people come, I set up their plan and everything, but I never I don't have much time to join in the tourism activities. But the boat tour is something that I love doing, and I love showing to people. One thing, on the Spree, which is the river that runs through the city, I love that tour because it gives you such a different perspective to the usual bus tours and whatnot. And the way the river, it has certain canals and divisions, and the boats go there, so you really get to see more than you would in, let's say, a place like let's say in Paris. I mean, you see a thing, but in Berlin, when you do that boat tour, you get a lot of different perspectives.
I see. So listen, guys, you've been more than just more than forthcoming, open book and everything. I want to wind down, but I do have a question that, out of curiosity here, that I have to ask because of who you guys are in Germany and the great things that you guys are doing there. Yeah. I'm sure you have met celebrities, and I can't think of a celebrity coming to Hamburg and saying, "I've seen Lion King in America. Or somewhere else. Let me see Lion King there." And so, and again, if you don't want to, you don't have to, because I know celebrity privacy sometime or whatever. But talk to us. Have you met any celebrities in your line of work since you're kind of out in the open there? I'm going to start with you, Steffani.
To be honest, when my day starts in the theater, like the first, you sign in. You go and do vocal warm up. If you have a quick rehearsal to go over your script and all of this, it's like the day is going like. Me personally, see, as soon as the show is done, I take a shower. I'm gone home to see my children, so I never stay back.
So you have missed. Okay, so you must have heard this celebrity come backstage,
Yes.
and you're gone. You're gone.
To be honest, maybe you think I'm a bit boring, but it doesn't excite me as much.
Okay.
It,
All right.
and
All right.
also, my years here, I've had to have babysitters in the first years of my time here, maybe for 2.5 years. And yeah, especially in the nights when they have to when I get home, they have to probably catch the last bus, or they have to go to work early in the morning. So to be honest, my first few years was focus on how I'm gonna take care of myself, take care of my children as a single mother, and see to it that they're fine. Wake up in the morning to make them breakfast, see them a bit, take them to the train station, which after a while they didn't even want me to follow them. They don't even want me to hold their hands.
That's kids.
Yes, because here the kids, I was surprised they can take the train on their own already at 5 years old.
Five.
Yeah.
That is
for me,
5-year-old getting on a train.
Yes, that still shocks me. But that was my life, to be honest. And
right.
Maybe now I'm a bit more relaxed. I've grown up a bit. Now I feel I can, us Jamaicans, when we go hard and we focus and you focus and make life work. But that just did not interest me. I'm going. I'm taking care. But it's not that I'm not interested in celebrities. I am.
Yeah. Well, it could be German. It could be even a German celebrity being a guest.
Now, what's her name?
I've met a couple of them.
Yes. There was one time when our cast had to perform with one. I wasn't there at that particular time.
Okay.
But it come, to be honest.
Well, I'm going to sing it over to Kirk because I know I've seen pictures of different people that have come through that say, I want some Jamaican food, and so I'm stopping in the restaurant.
At Rosa Calita, we have people who come. But actually, it's so funny. You talk about celebrity. When I first moved here, so at Rosa Calita, we've had people, or we've done food for people. So like, I don't know, when Sean Paul come, of course, they're getting Rosa Calita food and Business Signal and all these people. But what I wanted to talk about was when I first moved here, I was introduced to this lady, and she had a modeling agency. She had an agency for models and actors, and it was quite successful. But the crazy thing is that back in those days, 2009, a lot of the actresses and the models, they somehow, it was a time in the culture. I was a guy coming from where I used to work at Dolce & Gabbana. I was working for Dolce at Saks. So when I came here, I was dressed and whatnot. They used to ask me to walk red carpets. So I was meeting mucho people, like lots.
Oh wow! So you're a model. You're modeling.
And I was accompanying them because whoever they were dating or whatever, it wasn't quite the fit for the red carpet look. Yeah.
And I know Bolt has stopped in, right?
Yeah, of course. Oh man, but celebrity, that a man around town. I mean, of course he's a celebrity, but for us in our environment, he is such a cool guy, and his parents and everything like that. So when back in the day when they had the athletic championships here, we did a lot of stuff with them. For Puma hired my restaurant to do caterings and everything, and we did all those people were.
Nice.
I mean, by now, Usain Bolt is just a cool guy around the corner. There's no longer a celebrity for, in our family.
You see, I wish I could knock elbows with people like that sometime and just say, hey, they're cool guys. I gotta come hang out with Kirk there. Everyone. So, I have one more question before I end, and it is in terms of the cost of living there. what would you say? High, low, medium? What's your thoughts on the cost of living there? I'll start with you first, Steffani.
Well, I guess that would depend on your earnings, right? Kind of.
That's true. That is true. That is true.
So I have to say I'm grateful that I have been able to manage over the years. And another thing which is connected to that, now that there's a lockdown, the theaters are closed, somehow we're still able to manage because the government helps with certain things. And I know in many countries it's not the same. So I'm extremely grateful, you know, and so I don't have to feel this pressure. Of course, I don't have this extra now, I'm going to go buy this and buy that. But I can do okay with a simple life once I can take care. I have a home, a roof over my head, we have clothes, we have food. I don't need to go nowhere. As you can see, I spend a lot of time on creating. Good. And as much as I'm a performer and very bold, and like now I'm treating this like a performance because my personality, I'm really an introvert, as much as you would think I am not.
Oh, really?
Yes, of course. Before coming on here, I'm you know, practicing my phonetics.
So folks,
treating it like I'm going on stage.
We have brought Steffani 7 to the world, and you know, hey, she's rocking out on Jamaicans to the world.
Yes, but me and my normal everyday, I'm a very shy person, and it's just what it is. This is my career, and I treat it like that. And maybe that's also one reason too, that like if I see a celebrity, I'm not the one who, can I get your autograph?
Well, I was thinking the opposite. They're coming to meet you after the performance, but that's another story. So Kirk, cost of living. What's your thoughts on the cost of living there?
It's look, it's changed a lot. I mean, when I moved to Berlin in 2008, a lot. It was actually very, very cheap, and Berlin in particular. I mean, cheaper than Munich and Hamburg and all the Cologne, all these other big German cities. And the German Berlin was the capital, and was named. Well, the capital was brought back to Berlin in 2000. And it was a city that was developing. And that was one of the attractions for me, that, you know, to come here and set up a business was going to be much cheaper than doing it in New York, which is where I was living, or in Paris. You know, even though I speak French, I thought maybe do something in Paris or in Brussels. But Berlin was cheap. It was easy to live in. And that has changed a lot. The city has developed so much in the last 12 years. You have a lot of startups. So Berlin was always the town for artists because space was cheap and you didn't have to bust tables and be a waiter to pay your rent. You could actually just do your art. And then suddenly you have all these, startups and big businesses were buying up all of this cheap space to put their offices and move from, you know, various places, or to start here because it was cheap to start. And so now you have a huge startup industry here, and it's changed so much that rents are now becoming, you know, if fortunately you have an old contract, you're doing pretty good in the city. But if you're looking for a place to live now, it's comparable to, I would say, I mean, Florida, I mean, not as expensive as New York, but it's gotten very expensive.
Wow. Wow. All right. Last question before we end here. It's a scenario. You get off the plane, you land in Jamaica. What is the first thing that you're doing? Whether it be, I'm going to get this to eat, I'm going to jump in the water, I'm going to do this. What is that first thing you're doing? I will say you land in the day. We're not saying you land in the night. Let's just say you land in the day. What's that first thing you're doing? And we'll start with you, Steffani.
Okay. First of all, you immediately feel the heat. And I'm like, yes! You might not see me do this, but inside myself, I'm like, wow, this is so good. But then there's this man who sells coconut a little away from the airport. Like 5 minutes, you exit the airport and you're going down the street. He's on the left-hand side. Yes, I'm stopping and I'm drinking two coconuts.
Kirk?
Wait, I have a whole
Oh, there's
list.
more. Okay,
Yes.
there's more.
After the Coconut Man, Tasty's Patty, and like if my big brother would sometimes come and pick us up, he takes us to KFC, which KFC in Jamaica is just completely different from everywhere else that I've tasted it. And I really miss that barbecue chicken. I loved and that, and usually then, of course, a nice Jamaican meal is waiting for us. My mommy prepares some curry goat or something like that. So yeah.
All right. Kirk, what would it be for you?
The coconut, and then you know what? The Cane Man on Windward Road, and then Hellshire. This has to be. It has to be. and people are often, my grandparents are often like, why you have to go beach now? And I'm like, I just must. Right now.
You know what? That's interesting because that's where my parents live, in that area. You pass the Hellshire Beach. So that was my life, especially years before coming here. I would wake up in the mornings. I would go to the Fort Clarence Beach because by that time I made friends with the security guard and the people working, so I don't have to pay the whole fee because it's early in the morning. I would go and write songs. I would run on the beach and do some voice training and then sing to the water. Because somehow in my mind, I could see myself in the future performing to huge audiences. And I thought, if I can project my voice to the water and then they applaud with the splash, then there's nothing I can't do.
Well, that is great. That is so good. So here's how I typically end. I need you to teach me in German the most informal way to say goodbye. No, I'm not looking for the straight up goodbye. I'm looking for, like how we have our slang, little more, catch up on the strong, little later, something to that. What would you think of in German that, and it's probably the kids who said this or somebody who's hip or whatever. I'm not looking for the formal bye.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all thinking about it. I don't know if Kirk, you want to say what you think it is, or Steffani, what you think it is.
Well,
go ahead, Steffani. Dan, I'm trying to think what the slang words would be. I don't know, it's eluding me just in this moment, but instead of saying Auf Wiedersehen, bis dann, or that's what's coming to my mind right now, which is see you later. Bis, so BIS, bis, Dan, and DAN.
Steffani?
Just choose. Or später.
I think I've heard truce before, actually.
Yeah. It's just an easy way. It's not so informal, but it's not formal either. It's just that basic. You tell your friends, choose or später. Später is just, instead of bis später, until later, später. Yeah.
Später. All right. Später. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. We spent quite a bit of time here. And, before I say bye, which is truce and bis dann, right? Where can people find, I know Rosa Calita, where can people find it? It's online, website. What's the website for Rosa Calita? And then Steffani, if you can tell us, if you have a website or something out there, real quick, just tell us where people can find you and so on.
Yes.
Kirk, we'll start with you first, Kirk.
So Rosa Calita is in Kreuzberg in Germany, in Berlin, and it's rosacalita.com. So Calita is Caleta, and it's my grandmother's name.
Oh, beautiful.
Steffani?
Okay. Yes, before I do that, I just want to really thank my cousin for finding you, Xavier. I didn't even know about Jamaica.com. George
Jamaicans with an S. Jamaicans.
Jamaicans.com.
Yes.
My cousin, I know him as Chris or George Byfield. I just want to big him up. Thank you so much. He's always looking out for me.
Well, I appreciate him with us making the link. And where can people find the book if it's not out yet? Where can people find you?
Okay, so I'm not even so big on social media, but I'm trying. I'm keeping up. I have an Instagram page. This is my name. Steffani.
Seven.
Can you see it?
Yes. So they could find you there.
Just look up Steffani7. I'm on YouTube. I have some old videos, but I'm about to put the new project out in a few weeks. Just keep checking my Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. I'm not so
All right.
there.
All right.
Instagram is safe. Just keep on Instagram, and I have a website.
Okay.
www.stephanie7.com.
All right. So let me make sure I get it right, because it was correcting me a while ago. Is it truce? Truce?
Think of the word juice, like juice that you drink.
Yes.
And instead of the J, you put CH.
Choose.
Yes.
Without dipping it, just choose. Like
Choose.
goose.
Choose. All right.
Got it.
Choose and bis.
This
Dan.
Dan.
Okay.
Dan.
Choose and bis Dan, guys. Thank you.
Show some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.